Hi, and welcome to AE Help's IELTS test preparation videos. In this lesson, we will be looking at a complex Task 1 writing assignment, which means that this Task 1 will include a line graph combined with a table. To watch more lessons like this, and for a lot more help with the academic IELTS, please visit us at www.aehelp.com and join the full course. So for this lesson, we are going to be using an example question from the website. And the example for this Task 1 reads like so. The following graph shows the body weight of two men in the interval of 2008 to 2013. The table below outlines each man's exercise time, diet, and television viewing time in the same period. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. You should write at least 150 words. All right. So again, this is Task 1, and I will be showing you the steps required for correct study at home, as well as correct steps during the test to get the best score possible. So Task 1, Academic IELTS Writing, line graph with table. All right, so as we've already discussed in the previous video, the first step to writing a strong expository essay for Task 1 is simply just paraphrase the question. Again, try to use some adjectives and give a little bit more detail. Remember, when you're doing this at home, write out the original question, double space, and between the lines, write the response. So, here we go. The line graph shows the body weight of two people and the table indicates the exercise, nutrition, and TV watching habits of these men. Sum up the data given ... and make comparisons where relevant, or compare and contrast the information. So again, this is a paraphrase of the original question. I'm adding a little bit more detail, and I'm using, of course, synonyms, grammar, expressions, and other paraphrasing techniques. Again, practice those. Paraphrasing is one of the biggest tricks to getting a high score on the IELTS. And this is step 1. Now that I did this, I know that I understand the question 100%. I have a good idea of what I'm looking at. So, of course, my next step will be to identify the main features of this line graph and table. So the titles, the axes, the titles of the columns and rows. And then, of course, after that, to mark the points of comparison from most important to least important. So let's go to the next step, which is to look at the main features of the graph and the table. All right, so again, your second step is to look at the information in the line graph and the table in this case before you begin to write anything. You need to have a global or complete picture of the information before you write. You cannot get a good score in task 1, especially when you have more than one graph or a chart, simply by just writing sentence by sentence. So step 2, before beginning to write, look at the information. And what that means is, first you want to identify the key features, the main features of the graphs and charts and tables. The question asks you for that, so it says identify the main features. We're talking about the titles, the axis titles, the data that's given, and so on. So observe the main features. So of course, again, that's graph titles or table titles, axes titles, the form of the data. This means the shape of the data. So do you have data going upwards in the line graph, downwards, fluctuating like this? So what's the shape? Observe all of that. And of course, the legend. So let's have a look at our example and see what kind of features this line graph and table indicate. When we look at the first line graph, we notice the big bold letters at the top, body weight of 2 men from 2008 to 2013. So this is a 5-6 year period, which is approximately half a decade. Decade is 10 years. The y-axis, so that's the vertical axis going up and down. We see the weight in pounds. It begins at 150 and goes all the way to 250 pounds. Then we look at the x-axis. The x-axis shows the years from 2008 to 2013, showing each year. And then on the right, we can see the legend showing Bob's weight as the solid line, and then John's weight as the segmented line. So good. And then, of course, looking at the data here, we can see that the two lines cross over each other. Bob's goes from a high point to a low point, and John's opposite from a low to high point. All right, next we look at the table. We can see that the table is divided into 2 halves, Bob and John. The first column shows their names and their years, 2008 to 2013. We make the connection that these are the same years as the years shown in the line graph. It's very important to recognize this connection. And then we look at the title rows, which show exercise, hours per week, diet, kg, which means kilojoules per day. Kilojoules means the energy, or sometimes it's a kind of fat that our body uses. And then we see television viewing, hours per week. All right, then we look at the data and we see that exercise is anywhere from 0 to 20 for these two men. Kilojoules goes anywhere from 9 to 15,000, and television is anywhere from 0 to 30, and that one's quite random. All right, so those are the main features, and again, during the exam, you need to do this quite quickly and be quite clear about this information before indicating your points of comparison for the analysis or the main part of your response. All right, so that's good for the description. Now, before we begin to write, we still need to do step 1B, which is indicate our main points of comparison. So let's do that next. So the next part, part B of the second step, is again, you need to find your points of comparison. This is very important that you practice this so you can do it quickly, and you don't use more than about a minute during the exam to do this. So B here is finding points of comparison and contrast within and between or among graphs. To watch the rest of this lesson and for lots more help with Task 1 in the Academic IELTS, please visit us at www.aehelp.com and join the full course.